scarcely noticed by the throng of students, the lost and found. It's here, among the misplaced sweaters and forgotten textbooks, that our story begins, a tale that would unravel the very fabric of what it means to be a community. Imagine, if you will, a typical Tuesday morning, sunlight filtering through half-drawn blinds, casting long shadows across the linoleum floor. The janitor, Mr. Harris, moves methodically through the room, cataloging items in an effort to return them to their rightful owners before the end of the semester. It's a ritual familiar to him, one that rarely yields surprises. Yet today, buried under a pile of winter coats and gym bags, he discovers something unexpected, an old, leather-bound journal, its pages filled with delicate handwriting and vibrant sketches. The discovery of the journal sets the stage for a revelation that would leave the whole class, and perhaps the teacher most of all, in disbelief. For within its pages lies not just the thoughts and dreams of a student, but a story of hidden strength, silent battles fought in the quiet spaces between the written words. A story that, once brought to light, promises to change the way we see those around us, reminding us of the unseen struggles that shape the hearts and minds of our peers. What could be so compelling about this journal to stir the soul of a school? Who does it belong to, and what secrets does it hold? As we peel back the pages of this narrative, we invite you to lean in, listen closely, and prepare to be moved by a tale of resilience, hope, and the power of understanding. A tale that reaffirms the importance of looking beyond the surface, of recognizing the depth and complexity within each of us. This is not just a story of a lost item found. It's a journey into the heart of what it means to truly see and support one another. Join us as we step into the classroom, the air thick with anticipation, the teacher poised to share a discovery that will unveil the profound impact of empathy, challenge preconceptions, and ultimately, draw a class closer together. It's a moment that will leave us all questioning. How well do we really know the people around us? And what wonders lie just beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered? On this particular Tuesday at Lincoln High, the sun rose just like any other day, casting its first light on a building bustling with the energy of youth and anticipation. Students spilled into the corridors, laughter and conversation mingling with the occasional screech of sneakers on the polished floors. Teachers greeted their classes with the usual blend of enthusiasm and the steady resolve to impart knowledge. It was, by all accounts, an utterly ordinary day. Yet, as the hands of the clock marched relentlessly forward, an undercurrent of the unusual began to weave its way through the routine. Mr. Harris, the school's dedicated janitor and unsung hero, made his way to the lost and found room, a small, cluttered space that served as the final resting place for items disconnected from their owners. His task was simple: sort through the forgotten belongings in the hope of reuniting them with their students before the year's end. As he sifted through the piles, his hands, worn from years of service, paused upon an item that felt out of place amidst the typical array of lost scarves and misplaced water bottles. It was a journal, old and leather-bound, with a sense of weight to it that went beyond its physical heft. Intrigued, Mr. Harris flipped through the pages, his eyes scanning the neat handwriting and the occasional sketch that seemed to leap off the page with vitality. Meanwhile, the usual ebb and flow of classroom life continued unabated. Teachers delivered lessons on Shakespeare and the intricacies of the Pythagorean theorem, unaware of the discovery that would soon shift the day from the ordinary to the extraordinary. Students jotted down notes, minds wandering to plans for the upcoming weekend, or the lingering dread of uncompleted homework. As lunchtime approached, the hallways filled once again with the buzz of activity. But in the lost and found room, time seemed to stand still. Mr. Harris, moved by what he had uncovered in the journal, made a decision. He knew this was not a matter to be taken lightly. This journal held stories that deserved to be heard, secrets that cried out for understanding. With a sense of purpose, he closed the journal and tucked it under his arm, stepping out of the room and into the flow of students. He made his way to the staff room, determined to find the right teacher, someone who could appreciate the depth of what he had found and understand the best way to approach the delicate situation. It was a moment that promised to break the monotony of the day, a catalyst for change in the life of the school and, more importantly, in the life of the student who had poured their soul into the pages of the lost journal. As the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch and the resumption of classes, there was a palpable shift in the air. The day had turned, moving from the routine to the remarkable, all because of a single, unassuming discovery that would soon reveal the power of empathy and the importance of listening to the stories that lie hidden among us. In the bustling atmosphere of the staff room, where the air was thick with the aroma of coffee and the low hum of disjointed conversations, Mr. Harris found himself at a crossroads of fate and decision. His discovery of the journal, a beacon of silent cries and whispers of resilience, lay heavily under his arm as he scanned the room for the right person to entrust with its secrets. It was in this sea of educators, each absorbed in their own midday respite, that his gaze settled on Miss Thompson, a teacher known not just for her academic rigor, but for the depth of her empathy and understanding. Miss Thompson was in the midst of grading papers, her brows furrowed in concentration, when Mr. Harris approached. The weight of the journal's discovery pressed upon him, feeling more significant with each step he took towards her. "Miss Thompson," he began, his voice tinged with the gravity of the moment, "I found something that I believe requires your attention." Curiosity flickered in Miss Thompson's eyes as she looked up, sensing the seriousness in his tone. Mr. Harris handed her the journal, watching as her fingers traced the worn leather cover before opening it to reveal the cascade of emotions tucked within its pages. As she read, her expression shifted, surprise, concern, and a deep-seated resolve playing across her features. The journal, filled with the innermost thoughts and dreams of one of their students, was a window into a life of silent battles. Each page was a testament to struggles with self-doubt, the weight of expectations, and the secret yearnings for acceptance and understanding. But amidst the vulnerability, there was also a thread of undeniable strength, a resilience that hummed beneath the surface, a beacon of hope that flickered in the dark. Miss Thompson looked up from the journal, her decision made. "We need to handle this with care," she said, her voice firm yet gentle. "This isn't just about lost property, it's about a student who may be in need of our support." The resolve in her words was palpable, a clear indication that she was prepared to navigate the delicate path ahead. Together, they pondered the best course of action. It was clear that the student had not intended for the journal to be found, yet its discovery presented an opportunity to offer support that might otherwise have remained extended. The challenge lay in respecting the student's privacy while ensuring they knew they were not alone in their struggles. Miss Thompson's mind raced with possibilities, each scenario carefully weighed for its potential impact. Finally, she arrived at a plan that balanced sensitivity with the urgent need to connect with the student behind the journal. "I'll start by addressing the class about the importance of empathy and understanding," she proposed. "Without revealing the specifics, I can create an environment where the student feels safe to come forward, knowing they'll be met with support." As the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, Miss Thompson clutched the journal close, a silent promise to its author that their voice had been heard. She stepped into the hallway, a sense of purpose guiding her steps towards her classroom. This was more than just a lesson in curriculum. It was a lesson in humanity, in the power of listening, and the strength of community support. The discovery of the journal was a turning point, not just for the student who had poured their heart into its pages, but for the entire class, as they stood on the brink of learning the true meaning of empathy. The afternoon sun filtered through the windows of classroom 204, casting a warm glow over the students as they settled into their seats. Miss Thompson stood at the front, the journal discreetly tucked away in her desk drawer, its presence a silent testament to the journey of understanding they were about to embark on. The usual chatter slowly faded as her students sensed an uncommon seriousness in her demeanor. "Today," Miss Thompson began, her voice steady and inviting, "we're going to talk about something a little different. It's about the stories we carry within us, the ones that shape us but are often left untold." She paused, allowing her words to resonate with the young minds before her. The room was racked with attention, the air charged with anticipation. As we go through our day-to-day lives, it's easy to forget that each of us is fighting our own battles, facing challenges that others might not see. Her gaze swept over the classroom, meeting the eyes of her students, encouraging them to open their minds and hearts to the message she was conveying. Miss Thompson moved towards the whiteboard, her movements deliberate, as she continued, "Sometimes, these challenges are silent, hidden away beneath a facade of normalcy. But it's important to remember that empathy, our ability to understand and share the feelings of another, can be a powerful force for change." She then introduced an anonymous scenario, inspired by the themes she had discovered in the journal but carefully generalized to protect the student's identity. Imagine someone who feels overwhelmed by expectations, someone who dreams of being understood for who they truly are, beyond the grades and the accolades. How might they feel? And how can we, as a community, support them? The class engaged in a thoughtful discussion, ideas and personal reflections bouncing off the walls of the classroom like rays of light. It was evident that the conversation was sparking a shift in perspective, fostering a deeper sense of connection and empathy among the students. As the bell rang, signaling the end of the period, Miss Thompson gave them an assignment. "I want you to write a letter to an anonymous classmate. It doesn't have to be long, just something genuine. Write the kind of message you think someone might need to hear right now. The students filed out, buzzing with thoughts and emotions previously unexplored. In the quiet that followed, Miss Thompson couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. The journal had opened a door, not just for the student who had penned its pages, but for the entire class. Secrets were beginning to unravel, not in a sensational reveal, but in the shared understanding that everyone has a story, and every story deserves to be heard. In the days that followed, the atmosphere in classroom 204 subtly shifted. There was a newfound sense of camaraderie and mutual respect, as if the walls had absorbed the essence of their discussion and reflected it back upon the students. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a transformative journey, one that would lead them to view their classmates, and perhaps even themselves, in a new light. As the week progressed, the impact of Ms. Thompson's lesson on empathy and the unseen battles we all face began to permeate the very fabric of classroom 204. The assignment to write letters to an anonymous classmate had ignited a spark of curiosity and compassion among the students. Whispers of change were in the air, subtle yet profound, as if the classroom had transformed into a sanctuary of understanding and mutual respect. The day had arrived for the students to share their letters, a moment that Ms. Thompson had approached with both anticipation and a hint of nervousness. The atmosphere in the room was different. There was a palpable sense of vulnerability and courage as the students prepared to open their hearts to each other in a way they had never done before. One by one, "I'll ask you to come up and place your letter in this basket," Ms. Thompson instructed, gesturing to a beautifully woven basket at the front of the room. "Once all the letters are collected, I'll redistribute them randomly. Remember, the words you've written carry the power to uplift and heal. Let's honor that." As the students approached the basket, each letter represented a leap of faith, a willingness to connect and empathize with a peer's unseen struggles. The room was filled with an almost reverent silence, broken only by the soft rustle of paper. Once every letter had been placed in the basket, Ms. Thompson gently shuffled them before redistributing them to the class. The students opened their letters slowly, some with hesitant curiosity, others with an eagerness that spoke volumes of their longing for connection. The impact was immediate and profound. Eyes widened in surprise, smiles spread across faces, and, in some cases, tears welled up in eyes that glanced up to meet understanding looks from across the room. Each letter was a beacon of kindness, a message of support and solidarity. "You are not alone," one read. "Your strength is seen, and your courage is inspiring," said another. In that moment, the barriers that had once defined their interactions began to dissolve. The classroom revelation was not marked by a grand gesture or a dramatic unveiling of secrets, but by the quiet acknowledgement of shared humanity and the silent bonds that had been formed through empathy and understanding. Ms. Thompson watched over her class with a sense of pride and hope. The exercise had started as a simple assignment, yet it had blossomed into something much more significant, a classroom revelation that had unveiled the depth of compassion and understanding that her students were capable of offering one another. As the class discussed their feelings about the letters, it became clear that this experience had shifted something fundamental in how they saw each other and themselves. They talked about the importance of listening, of giving space for others to be heard, and of the incredible power that a few kind words could wield in someone's life. The lesson ended, but the echoes of its message reverberated beyond the walls of classroom 204. The students left the room that day carrying not just their books and belongings, but a new awareness of the power of empathy and the unseen threads that connect us all. It was a revelation that would stay with them, shaping their interactions and understanding for years to come, a testament to the transformative power of compassion and connection in a world too often defined by isolation and misunderstanding. After the special class about sharing and understanding, classroom 204 changed a lot. The students started treating each other differently. They were kinder and talked more deeply. This was all because of the letters they wrote to each other. It made them see their classmates in a new way, like everyone had their own story. The students came up with a great idea. They wanted to make a wall of support, right in their classroom. This wall would show everyone's stories, hopes, and dreams. Ms. Thompson thought it was a wonderful idea. So they all worked together to fill a wall with beautiful messages, art, and photos. It was a way to show they were all in this together. This wall wasn't just for their class. Soon, the whole school started talking about it. Other classes wanted to make their own walls of support. It seemed like the whole school was learning how to be nicer and understand each other better. By the end of the year, the students in classroom 204 felt like they were part of something special. They knew they had friends to support them. And they learned a very important lesson. When we listen and care for each other, we can make a big difference. On the last day of class, they all looked at the wall of support together. They talked about how much they had grown and how they had helped each other. Miss Thompson was very proud. She told them, "What we did here was amazing. Let's keep being kind and supporting each other, no matter where we go." As the students left the classroom for the last time, they felt ready for whatever came next. They knew how important it was to be kind and supportive, and they were going to take that lesson with them into the world. As the school year wrapped up, Classroom 204 wasn't just a room anymore. It was a place where everyone felt they belonged. The students had learned a big lesson. Being there for each other makes everyone stronger. This wasn't just a lesson for now. It was something they would carry with them forever. The wall of support had started in their class, but it sparked a change that spread through the whole school. Now, everyone was talking about being kind and supporting one another. It was like a whole new spirit was alive at Lincoln High, all because one class decided to share their true feelings and listen to each other. On the last day, as they all stood together for the last time, the students and Ms. Thompson felt proud. They had done something really special. Ms. Thompson looked at her students and said, "You've all shown what it means to be a true friend and to stand up for each other. Don't forget that. You have the power to make the world a better place, one kind act at a time." Leaving Classroom 204 behind, the students felt ready for anything. They had learned more than just school subjects. They had learned about life, kindness, and the power of a supportive community. This lesson, more than any other, was what they would take with them into the future. The story of Classroom 204 shows us all something important. It reminds us that when we listen and care for each other, we can change our little part of the world. And who knows, maybe that change can spread even further, just like the kindness started in one small classroom.